baseball Skeens, the quietly excellent Cleveland Guardians, the free-falling New York Yankees. What in the world am I going to talk about this week? Am I talking about any of those things? No, of course not. I want to talk about college baseball, specifically the Texas A&M Aggies. Their now former head coach, Jim Schlossnagle. For those of you who don't follow college baseball, Texas A&M played for the College Baseball World Series just last week. They ended up losing to the Tennessee Volunteers in a 3-game series. Afterwards, they have the post-game conference, etc. A reporter asked him about his future. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to take another job? And Coach Schlossnagle just went off on this reporter saying, like, how dare you question me? I left my family for this job. When I took this job basically, I'm paraphrasing, when I took this job at Texas A&M, this was going to be the last job I take. You don't leave a job like this. Flash forward 24 hours later. It's announced that the University of Texas had just hired, you guessed it, Jim Schlossnagle, formerly coach of Texas A&M. As you can imagine, people were pissed across college baseball and even other parts of the college sports as well. This coach is leaving to your arch rival, the University of Texas. In a public forum, you said that this was basically a destination job, that you don't take this job to go to another job. 24 hours later, you're like, oh, by the way, I'm going to go coach to the other big school in the state. And then the University of Texas athletic director tried to cover for Schlossnagle, I can't even pronounce his name, Coach Jim, by saying that he had to hide out the next day, right after Texas A&M flew back from Omaha from the College World Series baseball championship to College Station. And the University of Texas athletic director told the press or whatever that, I had to hide out in like a cemetery to get people off the scent, and I went to go talk to him, and we did it really, really quickly. You don't negotiate a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract in 20 minutes. You don't do it overnight. Jumping into another sport, now the national basketball, the NBA is over. The season's over. The Boston Celtics won the championship, and free agency starts, I think, like tonight or so, in a couple of days. And every single summer, free agency starts, and within minutes, all the teams are announcing, hey, we signed this player for a 5-year, $200 million contract. We signed this other player for 3 years, $150 million contract. It's like, that's tampering. You did not, nobody in their right mind, unless like you're on the HBO show Succession, would try to negotiate a multi-million, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars on the back of a napkin in 20 minutes. And so Coach Jim, his team lost the championship on Monday, June 24th. He denied that he was going to go anywhere else. 24 hours later, it's announced he's going to be the coach of the University of Texas. Coach Jim takes with him 3 of his assistants in Texas A&M because they knew that he was leaving. And Coach Jim gets mad at some reporter for reporting the obvious. The reporter knew, but Coach Jim refused to be an honest man. Whenever I hear about things like this in the sports world, I always try to frame it, all these sports shenanigans, in our real world. You know, like at your job, most of our jobs is the employer expects you to give 2 weeks notice, blah, 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 blah. But when bigwigs pull shenanigans, zero repercussions. Zero repercussion. And these bigwigs are making, 10, 20, 30 times more money than we are, depending on their salary, depending on our salary as well, or whatever you're getting paid an hour. To be fair to Coach Jim, he did apologize just, I think, yesterday when he was actually officially unveiled as the new University of Texas coach at a press conference. And he did say, quote, I want to publicly apologize to Richard Zane from Texas Ag, end quote. Good for him, because it's really unbecoming of people, especially in today's society, of this like lack of shame. There's a lack of shame in politics. There's a lack of shame in business of you never apologize. You never, even if you did something wrong, you just keep going. Like, nope, it wasn't me. That, whatever. If you get hurt too bad, it's un-American. But like I said, at least Coach Jim finally did apologize, because you know what? He could have easily said absolutely nothing. He didn't have to publicly apologize to Richard Zane. But who knows if Coach Jim actually apologized to the young men who were playing for a national championship, not knowing their coach already had his 2 feet out the door. I'm all about these college kids using the transfer portal. whether they're playing baseball, whether they're playing track and field, football, basketball. Do what you want to do because your coach is only looking out for him or herself. Very few of them actually care about you as a person because as long as there's more money coming along somewhere else, he's gone. And Coach Jim, he wouldn't be taking that job at University of Texas unless Texas next year, they're going into the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. If Texas had stayed in the Big 12, you think Coach Jim is leaving the mighty SEC to go work in the Big 12? Please. By the way, I want to go to College Station for this series. The baseball season obviously has just ended. The college baseball season just ended. And so the schedule isn't out for 2025. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and so is everyone else in Texas and in the SEC, that the SEC schedules the first game, the first series where Texas visits Texas A&M. When Coach Jim has to go back to College Station. I'm telling you, kind of jokingly, but kind of seriously, Coach Jim is going to need armed guards to go back to College Station. It's not going to be pretty, but the atmosphere is going to be amazing. I can't wait for that schedule to come out because I'm going to start looking at flights and tickets. That's going to be amazing. And we've talked about the great state of Texas for a few minutes now. And with our next guest, we might as well stay in the South. This week, I'm happy to be joined by our special guest, Emma Powell, Premium Services Manager for the Mississippi Braves, which are the Double-A minor league team for the Atlanta Braves. Emma, welcome to Last Call Baseball.
Thank you very much.
Emma, what's the main Thanksgiving dish at the Powell household?
Oh my goodness. Steak.
I love it.
Did you guess that? Yes. Steak. Yes. That's one of the biggest things that we do. Just because I grew up in the cattle industry and we obviously do it all. We do the traditional ham and turkey, but then there's always going to have that steak on the grill there too.
I love it because I, in case people don't know, Emma, you come from a cattle, I believe it's a cattle ranching family, or at least a background. And obviously everyone always normally serves turkey on Thanksgiving, but I was like, surely they have to serve delicious steaks.
Yep, we do.
On Thanksgiving.
The strip steak's my favorite. Absolutely.
Oh, nice. How in the world have you been able to combine your family background in ranching, in cattle, and now you're in the minor league? You're in the you're in minor league baseball.
Well, you can see behind me, and I wish I could turn my camera completely around. My office is completely different than everybody else's. Here, I do have my Mississippi Braves stuff on the wall and my Atlanta Braves stuff on the wall as well too. But yeah, mine is completely Western. So I'm the seventh generation of growing up in a cattle industry background. My family is originally from South Louisiana. We're kind of spread all over the country now, doing different stuff, but mostly, for the most part, everybody that is involved in the cattle industry is still involved in the cattle industry within the family. I think we're on to generation 8 right now, if I believe. I don't think we're at 9 yet. We're still at 8. Yeah. Okay. So as far as it got into baseball, it's been nice because I always get that question of how in the world did you end up in minor league baseball whenever you in the cattle industry. I got into baseball whenever I was in high school. I was a diamond girl, what they call, and that would be the ones that would go on the field and help get ready for the next games or whatever the guys that would do on the field here. But it was a group of girls that we did that. So we got into baseball a little bit earlier that way. Funny story is my mom would always come to all the baseball games with me. So we did that throughout high school, went through college. And now, believe it or not, my mom and I actually work here at the stadium together.
So the Diamond Girls aren't the ones that are standing on top of the dugouts throwing out extra
large
not
where
t-shirts.
I went to high school.
Okay.
Not where I went to high school. We were the ones that were actually doing all the stuff on the field. Yep. Isn't that cool?
I think it's very cool. And
you want to know an even better funny story is my high school baseball coach is actually an usher here at the Mississippi Braves too. So I get to see him all the time. Yeah. So in between the games, we would go and we would mark the chalk especially if we had tournaments and stuff, we would do the chalk on the fields. We were the ones that took care of all the bookings upstairs. One of the jobs that I fell into, instead of them playing the national anthem over speakers, my coach, who, like I said, works here as an usher for us here at the minor league field, he is able to, he got me to sing the national anthem. So I got to do that all throughout high school. And then whenever I went on to college, I did the diamond. They called them diamond darlings there, I think, or whatever it was at college. But we didn't get to do all that. At that point, they were standing on the dugouts just cheering for him, and I'm like, nope, can't do that. I got to go do something else.
You know, when I read that you were a diamond girl, but I wasn't exactly sure what that was about because
Yeah,
I thought maybe it had something to do with the diamond dogs up in what is it,
Starkville,
Starkville?
Mississippi
Yeah,
State.
for the
Well,
Mississippi
I'm
State
one of those
Bulldogs.
two.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
I'm a
such a great
graduate from Mississippi
stadium.
State, so
Oh,
yes, I'm one of those two.
that place is a jewel. The what is
Yep.
it? The box. That's an amazing place. The more I think about it, I actually think it's a perfect synergy for you to be in minor league baseball because cattle ranching is you're growing these living beings and they're going to go off to that great ranch in the sky, but they're doing it for a purpose. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously to feed, to produce hides, what have you. And in Mississippi, for the Mississippi Braves, obviously the baseball players aren't going to go to the great diamond in the sky, but hopefully some of them are going to keep going on to the higher levels and
Yep.
producing them to do wonderful things for the Braves organization.
Yep. And we've had a few examples of that. Some of the guys that's been here, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I felt like Michael Harris, whenever he was here, he was literally here for like 2 weeks and then left. Like I said, I'm exaggerating that, but that's what it felt like. And we were all like really sad whenever that happened. So,
You're talking about Michael Harris II being in Mississippi for a hot minute. This is the same thing that's happened this year with all the Mississippi Braves. It seems like the entire
mm-hmm,
pitching staff is
mm-hmm.
now has been playing for Atlanta because obviously Atlanta the big league team has had lots of injuries in the for the starting pitchers. So I'm sure that's exciting for you guys as well as the players going from that
It
huge
is. It
jump
is
from Double
exciting,
A.
and it's exciting because you get to know them a little bit on a personal level. And then what I do with the Sweet and Catering upstairs is we have a lot of the I call them the wives and girlfriends club that come in. So a lot of the wives and girlfriends come in. Angel's family, who's our head coach right now, his family will come in weekly. So being the premium services manager, I get to develop a relationship with them because they're coming in to see their guys and their guys play or travel around and do all the different things that they do. So that is just a tremendous honor to get to meet, the inside of the ones that support them as well, too, being on that different level.
As you said, you're the premium services manager. When I hear that, I'm like, I think I know what it is, but then I also think of like one of these fancy malls of like whether like it's Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and it's like the person going around in a black suit with the loopy thing in their ear. What do you do as the premium services manager?
So I'm the one which I wish you could see it all, but I'm the one that gets all the catering in. So we have 24, not exactly 24 suites upstairs, but we have 1 through 24 numbered, and in there's the press box and a few other things. So we take care of the press box, their lunch and their dinners, depending on what kind of game that we have during the game week, and then we'll have different suite orders that'll come in from people that actually own the suites, which might be businesses, people that come to the games that they can rent a suite. So I take care of all their catering, which is everything from the food part of it to their alcohol. So everything food and beverage. It's really cool. And then being the premium services manager, so anything, I take care of all the restaurant and their events, any special events here in the off season. If there's an event going on here, I'm on campus pretty much because it's either a special event or we have a game going on. So that's kind of cool. We have the
Premium.
Miranda Lambert concert coming up, and that's going to be, I'm looking forward to putting that on my resume that I helped do a Miranda Lambert concert.
Oh, yeah, I saw that and I was like, that's
Yeah.
pretty impressive that she's going to
Yeah.
be performing in
Diamond
Jackson.
Baseball Holdings is doing a whole tour, and she's going around. So Oakview Group is the company that I actually work for, which is the food and beverage department here. So Oakview Group and Diamond Baseball Holdings, because they're in partnership with each other, so they're traveling around and doing this concert series from Miranda Lambert. So it's such a cool event thinking that that's going to come here. I'm pretty excited about it.
You seem like a busy woman, obviously, with your cattle ranching business,
Mm-hmm.
being the premium services manager at Mississippi, and God knows what. And I know you do a lot of civic activities as well. I don't want to
Yeah.
add one more job, but is Emma Powell also the quality assurance for the Angus that's served at the Mississippi Braves games in the suites?
We don't unfortunately have any that was here. Oh my God, I wish we would because
Not
that would
yet, not yet.
yeah. Well, I will tell you that on my farm we do from the minute that they hit the ground, we'll start taking care of them. Obviously, just like we treat them as our own kids. So we do have some steers that we'll slaughter that we do have full process from the time that they're born all the way until the time that they're slaughtered. So we are fortunate enough to have a few of our customers that support us in all of our ventures that we have. Like you said, that my husband and I, we do a lot. He does about 1,500 acres of hay every year, and that gets shipped out all over to the country, to local people around here, and then also to some of the areas out in like Texas and Missouri and Oklahoma, and even all the way up to Kansas. As long as we can get some trucking up there, we'll send hay for all of them that need it in some of the national emergencies or disaster emergencies and stuff like that. We'll send it up there. But getting back to the beef, some of those customers that we do have, local customers, they'll come get some of our eggs that we have. We've got a bunch of chickens, and that's quite funny. And then the steers and stuff as well too. So we do sell pasture to freezer. We kind of do it full circle.
I also want to mention that you guys also breed show cattle.
Mm-hmm.
I had never in my life,
mm-hmm.
or is that like kind of like the cattle version or the Angus version of Westminster Dog Show?
Yes, exactly. And that's how how I explain it to a lot of people. I said, have you ever watched a dog show? And they said, yes. And actually I have some very good friends that are in the Angus Association, and they actually participate with breeding dogs and different stuff. And my husband and I, we raise labs, but they're just duck dogs or hunting dogs. That's just our project with them as well too. But yeah, showing cattle and showing in the that's how for 7 generations I started out as a very, very young child, learning how to take care of the animals and learning everything about the ins and outs of them. And I grew up in the National Junior Angus Association from whenever you're 9 years old to 21 years old. So I aged out with that, obviously. But the Angus Association is made up of about 7 different just main associations, including the American Angus Association that started in 1883. And then it grew on from there. So when you're looking at show cattle, especially, what they're judging for is, to round it out, kind of like the dog show, they're looking at their muscling. If it's a female show or if it's a bull show, they're looking at their ability of how they're going to breed, how they're going to perform out in the pasture, how they're going to. So it's basically what we call a beauty pageant for a lot of different people, but it's not just the beauty of them. It's all they even do. They look at genetics when it comes into it. There's we register all of our Angus cattle throughout the country. So if you would choose to do that. So there's about 300,000 registrations made every year in the Angus Association. So we're lucky enough to be a part of that 300,000, just raising quality Angus cattle all the way from, like I said, from the time that they're born to go on to be productive cows out in the pasture to make us more babies, or we'll sell the bulls to other commercial cattlemen, or we'll even slaughter the steers, like we said. So it kind of goes all full circle. But yeah, the youth that participate nowadays with us in the show cattle, they'll benefit from it everywhere. Everything from scholarships to just them being in the program, showing the cattle from what they learned. That's how pretty much every job that I've ever gotten has been revolved around agriculture. And here I am in an industry that, the world could not go round without agriculture. But I'm lucky enough that I came from a background that I was able to use it in all different aspects, because I grew up in the cattle industry and I learned so much adult productivity that I use in my older life, that I'm able to get off the wall jobs that normally somebody in the industry that I grew up wouldn't be in a minor league ballpark.
That was a good description of what in the world showing cattle is, because the only thing I have ever even come across is when they sell the cattle, when that guy that speaks like three trillion words a second, and you bidding on the cattle, and the cattle going around.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. And an auctioneer.
Yeah.
I had never known about this show cattle. And let me ask you a question, because I'm seriously curious. Do these cattle ever flirt with one another, and they're like consummate marriages in these beauty pageants? Because we know how dogs are, but are cattle the same?
No. So being show cattle, they're all on halters, which the dogs are on halters as well too. But being around show cattle, a lot of these animals, these kids are working with them from the moment they hit the ground. So these cattle they basically are dogs. I wish that I can invite you to come to my house and see. When I pull up in my driveway every afternoon from coming into work, I have a pasture right behind my house, or right on the side of my house. I have all my mamas that are calving right now. So I got a bunch of little babies running around everywhere right now. all the mamas, they're all my old show cattle and stuff. So now whenever I drive up in the driveway, when as soon as they know it's me, they're coming up to the fence and going, "Hey, what you doing? What you doing today? What you doing?" So I mean, and I could go to the fence and pet them, and they're just like dogs. So like that, so it's very easy with the show cattle and stuff like that. It's very rare that you're going to have one that'll get away from the kids. They pretty much listen to their masters, their owners,
Their mama and papa,
their mama and
or
papa.
at least their older brother and sister, if there's these young boys and girls that are doing
Yeah.
this. You're talking about dogs and all the other animals on your farm or in your ranch. How smart are cattle? Like, because everyone says pigs are really smart, dogs are smart, cats are smart, but
they're very smart. They all have different personalities. They all have different noises that they make that we can. My husband and I, we actually were laying in bed one night and we heard one of them moo in the background. Both of us sat up out of bed and we were like, "Oh my God, that's Betty. Something's wrong." And we said something's wrong because they don't moo in the middle of the night. Something's going on. Well, when we knew something was going on, so we barreled outside and went and found her immediately, and her baby was on the other side of the fence where it wasn't supposed to be. So we were like, okay, this is kind of like, so it is. We're wrangling up babies all day and then taking care of their mamas, and they'll call us when they need us. And yeah, they all have very different personalities. They know exactly. They get in a routine, especially with the show cattle, because we bathe them every day, we walk them every day, we exercise them every day. They have routines of when they're fed every day. It basically is like kids. So they're very smart. They know their routine. They know what they're supposed to do. They pick up and they learn very easy. I don't know where they would be. I think the pig may be the smartest one. Mm-hmm. I don't know where cattle would fall in that category, but that's good to know. I'd like to know. Sometimes they can be really, really ridiculous and really dumb, but that's a whole different story. We'll talk.
You can say the same thing about Homo sapiens as well. So
pretty much, yes.
Again, you are in the farming business, in the cattle business with baseball and in your own family, your family business. How is it being a female in two predominant? Because when you think of cattle, you think of ranchers, you think of Mexican cowboys, Texas cowboys, what have you. You don't really think of a woman in the business and in baseball, obviously.
Some of the women that have been around me and what I told you, one of the associations with the American Angus Association underneath it is the American Angus Auxiliary, and I'm actually on the executive board for them. It's a 4-year term. I started out as secretary treasurer of the executive board, so that's all over the country. Next year I'll move up to president select, next year president, and then after that I'll move up to advisor. And it's once you're on the board, you can never do it again. I'm one of the youngest people that's ever been able to get on the board. So being around those women in the American Angus Auxiliary our entire life, and what the auxiliary does is to promote the Angus breed, but it's also to raise scholarships, take care of the youth that's in the association. We sponsor a lot of the awards and a lot of the events throughout the country for youth or for women that are maybe not married into a family that had cattle, so they're wanting to learn a little bit about the industry. So we offer a lot of stuff for women to teach them about the industry, to also promote the breed as well too. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I grew up around these women that were powerhouse women. The farm wouldn't have been ran if the woman was out there with them. And it's the same thing that I do today. On days whenever I'm not up here, days whenever I'm at home, I try to get out there and help my husband as much as I can, dealing with the cattle, but then also dealing whenever he's baling hay. So we have to tag team as much as we can. And that's what the women do in the industry. They're right there by their husbands doing what they have to do. And then there's a lot of them that are behind the desk that's doing all the paperwork and the registrations and, getting them doing the auctioneer stuff, behind the scenes and that kind of stuff. Those are those powerhouse women doing that. I don't want to say I'm totally up there yet, but I have great mentors that I want to be just like them when I grow up. And I have a lot of them, a lot of mentors.
I love that. Yeah. I probably can count on one hand the amount of times I've set foot on a farm or a ranch. So I don't know that much. I'm very much.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you ever come down to Mississippi, I'm about 20 miles from Jackson. You can come stay at my house. That's where everything's at.
Yeah, that would be great to see that. And You had said that you went to Mississippi State, and Mississippi State, their college baseball program is one of the premier in the country. It's that the environment's phenomenal. Did you grow up a Braves fan, or is this just something that you came across
No,
throughout?
no, we've kind of always been Braves fans. I'm definitely one of those people that everybody, I grew up at Mississippi State, and they would say, "Oh, so you must hate Ole Miss." I said, "No, I don't hate Ole Miss. I'm an SEC fan." So whenever Ole Miss got in, or Southern Miss, and all of them got in back to back to back to the College World Series, I was like, I am a fan unless they play in Mississippi State. So no, I've always supported the South. So we grew up a Braves fan. I grew up a Saints fan. My grandfather had been around, and he was my great grandfather. He had season tickets since the franchise opened. So we were all grew up in the South, and we promote those Southern teams. So I've always been a Braves fan.
Yeah, I love the fact that there really is something called Braves country because I'm from
Yeah.
the TBS generation because they're
Mhm.
always on at night, they're always winning, fantastic. But it bothers me not living in the South, but it still bothers me that the minor league system of the Braves is like contracting and they're all going to Georgia, which I'm not a fan of because even if you're a fan in Alabama, in Louisiana, in Tennessee, Southern Virginia, well, you would be able to go see maybe there's that guy that's going to play for the Braves in 4 or 5 years. And now I feel like they're just going away. I know you work for the Braves and there's me some things you can and can't say, but I'm just sharing with you that I find it not strategically smart to almost go away from the South, even with the minor league teams, because not everyone can afford to go to Atlanta to see a game.
Oh no, I haven't been to a game. I've been to the stadium, but I haven't been to a game, and I've been dying to go. I want to go. There's honestly not much I can say because I don't know. I don't know everything. That I do know that the team is moving. We're really sad about it. I cried for like 4 days. We still get upset about it, but that's just you never know. It's going to move on. It's going to be probably one of the greatest things that ever happened. I can't wait to see what happens with this stadium. I'm going to be here for it. I hope. Fingers crossed. But as far as everything going to Georgia and as far as some of those decisions being made, I can't comment on them because I really don't know.
I was just sharing with you that I that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
obviously that I think
We
it's
get
so
that
bad.
question all the time too. What's going to happen? Why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? I'm like, I don't know. What y'all know is what we know. I don't know.
When I've gone to, I've also been fortunate enough to go to a handful throughout my life, not in the last year or something, but throughout my life to suites at baseball games. And
Have you?
I tell people of all the sports, the major sports, I think baseball is the best to watch in a suite, especially when it's like July or August, when it's
Yeah,
90,000 degrees outside and you can go
yeah.
in, you can go out. How would you, in your position, what would you like for the clients to do to make your job easier? Because I know there's so much work behind the scenes by the people that run those suites. You know, whether
Yeah.
you're talking about the people that roll in the food, the people that coordinate it like you, the business development folks that go out and try to sell these suites. There's so much work. I always have the mentality of we have to serve each other, not in just this transaction of I'm in a suite for the next 4 hours. Someone's going to be attending to me. It's just in life in general. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes people don't do that. Like, what would your ideal client be when it comes to like game day or even before that?
Well, ideally, they're supposed to get in their orders 5 days before the event. Never happens. Never, never, never happens. Now I do have a folder up here that says I have it called Order Up because it's all the ones that we have coming up throughout the rest of the season. And I love those people that get them turned in on time. But there's just some of those businesses that, especially if they're hosting people, they may not know that they're going to have somebody in there in the next day. But here in the South, every single one of those people, they all have my phone number. So they call me and they say, look, I know this is last minute. Can I get it in? And I try to work with them as much as I can. But for the most part, it's pretty much easy going. We have an awesome sales team here. Like I said, they never get in the orders on time, but I try to be as easy as I go in as I can. If not, if it's something that we absolutely cannot do, if they turn it in last minute, I'll call them up and we'll try to work it out. But other than that, everybody is so nice. They enjoy their time when they come here. I have the best suite attendants that you can ever imagine. We actually have people that'll come to multiple games throughout the year and want that same suite attendant. So then, it's scheduling to make sure that we can make them happy on that part of it. So yeah, it's pretty much easy going as long as they can get their orders in on time.
I took a mental note that when I have the opportunity to rent or buy one of these suites at a
Hmm.
baseball team, well, maybe the Braves, I will make sure that my order is in
Have
five
you been
days
to Mississippi
before.
State yet?
I have.
I
It's
have
one of the
not been to
greatest.
Mississippi State yet in the suites.
The ball. Oh, no. I didn't go to the suite. I just went to I sat outside, like by just beyond the first base
Oh, I got you. Okay.
seat. Yeah, no, the stadium is just knocked me out of the. It's just knocked me out. It's one.
Yeah,
It
it's awesome.
There are minor league teams that don't have a nice of a stadium as the Bulldogs do.
Hmm.
But no suite there,
I haven't
unfortunately.
either. I want to go.
We keep talking about food, getting your order in.
Hmm.
You being the expert here, what makes a good Angus? When I'm at the grocery store, when I'm at the butcher shop, do I trust the butcher to give me the best cut of Angus, or how can I even know what's a good cut of Angus?
So, with the Angus Association, we have a program that is called the Certified Angus Beef. And a lot of times when you go into those really nice steakhouses, or a lot of times now that, or not a lot of times, but now they have some different grocery stores that have picked up certified Angus beef throughout the country. And certified Angus beef is made up of 10 specifications. And an animal has to follow all of those 10 specifications before it can even be accepted into the program. So that's how you're knowing that you're 100% getting a good quality steak if it's the certified Angus beef brand. Plain, simple,
That's
short.
it. You took
That's
the words
it.
out of my mouth. I mean, you're doing it from not even step one, step zero. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. That's
So
that process been set up.
when it comes into a lot of the breeders like myself or some of the actual people throughout the country, my brand of beef that we have is not CAB. We don't meet a lot of those specifications because we do live down here in what we call Brahma country. So my registered Angus could qualify if they do, but for the most part, there's our steers and stuff that we do. They are a crossbreed between a Brahman influence and an Angus, and that's some of the steers that we do. But with the Angus Association, like I said, if you get in those 10 specifications, a lot of those they breed them in those through genetics to where they're making sure that they're getting those different specs, all of those 10 qualifications, the steak that's going to be, I wrote a lot of this stuff down earlier when I was looking at it. The steaks have to be 10 to 16 square inches of a ribeye area. So that's going to tell you right there that, you're not getting a smaller one each time. Every animal that's going to be slaughtered that goes through the Certified Angus Beef program is going to have that 10 to 16 square inch. I wrote a lot of them down. They're going to be 1,100 carcass live weight. So meaning when they're hanging on the rack in the slaughterhouse, it's going to be over 1,100 pounds. That's just, no dart cutters from whenever we give them, their injections or whenever they're little. That means that there's just a piece of meat on there that's not necessarily good. So we are eliminating a bunch of different undesirable characteristics that you want in a suite just because you're following those 10 specifications.
And you mentioned what in the world is Brahma country? Is that like, because all of Brahma I know is the Indian caste system, but I don't know about.
So a Brahma is the breed of cattle that has the hump on their back.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's called a Brahma. So down here in the South, we have a lot of heat, which Angus are very heat tolerant too. They originally came from Scotland, so it doesn't necessarily get as hot out there. But when they came to Kansas and then moved out through the entire world, they're all over the world now. You can have every climate you want. But down here, the Brahman influence kind of took over big time because Brahman cattle were made here in Texas. They were made in the South. So we kind of have a variety on my farm of different. The Angus is through and through. That's my background. That's where I want to be. So we do have a lot of Angus on our place that we do for just the cow calf operation. But when it comes to the steers and the slaughter, we stick to more of the Brahman influence side of it because we want the heifers to be the Angus, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. We keep talking about food, steak. That's one of my favorite dishes, just steak. And we're talking about making sure we get our food orders to our suite partners a week before the game. When we go to see hopefully future Atlanta Braves players currently playing with the Mississippi Braves, where's some of your local places that you like to have dinner, lunch, food, have some coffee, have a drink in the Jackson area?
Jackson, Florida area.
Yes.
Jackson is made up of everything that you can think of. There's a ton of different chain restaurants. This is our where our capital is and stuff. But as far as our little bitty town of Flora, I call it our little bitty town of Flora. It is blooming. Everything is moving in over there. Ag Up, which is AGUP, Ag Up, which is the John Deere dealership, if I'm understanding that correctly. Their headquarters are going to be moving right there in the Florida. They're building it right, a very, very, very pretty building right there in the middle of town. We have very just one of a kind restaurants over there too. So I think that's why so many people's coming to Florida. Bill's Steakhouse, where you can get some of the best steaks ever. Railroad Pizza, which is they're originally from Louisiana, so I got some good Louisiana cooking food plus all their pizzas and stuff. Two Dog Farms, which is a produce and protein where you can buy cartons of eggs, you can buy all kind of produce that they do right there in the little town of Flora. When you're passing by, there's going to be a field full of cabbages and stuff that you can get. There's so many places. It's all one of a kind places in Florida, all one of a kind places. But I would definitely come to Florida. We have the Petrified Forest. We have, like I said, call me though. I want everybody to call me when they come to Florida so I can be your tour guide.
And you get a suite as well, because that's
and we can work on getting you a suite.
Exactly.
I can definitely get you tickets. I do know that.
Brilliant. Emma, thank you so much. I learned a lot, and I really enjoyed talking with you. I think you have an awesome background in baseball and cattle ranching. Excuse me. Yeah. I love this conversation. If you want to share with us anything about your business, social media, going to Mississippi Braves game, please let us know.
I would definitely want everybody to come to a Mississippi Braves game before the team moves in Columbus. We've been off for the last few weeks because the team's been on the road, but we love whenever our fans are here. It gives us not only something to do, but getting to see people come and enjoy it as much as they do makes all the hard work that we do put in behind the scenes worth it. As far as my family, I'll take the time to brag on them. They're very hard workers. I'm proud of not only my background and my family and everything that they still do in the industry and stuff. And, when they eventually hear this, I want them to know that I am very proud of them. And then when it comes to my husband and his side of the family, same thing. He works really hard and appreciate everything that he does for us. And as far as our businesses go, like I said, we own a cow-calf operation. We bale about 1,500 acres of hay. We do a lot of different extracurricular activities, especially when it comes to involved around kids and stuff, because we don't have our own kids. So we try to help out as many as other kids that we did that in the things that I did growing up. And I'm starting I don't look like it today, but I am at a baseball stadium, but it's about as Western as I can get today. I'm starting my own Western styling business where I want people to call in and say, look, I'm going to a concert tonight. Pick me out a great Western date outfit. And I've been saying that we need to get somebody down here around there that can go to boutiques and really know the Western culture and know what to do and what to do it. And plus, I get so excited whenever people call me and want me to pick out a good outfit for them or take them shopping or something like that. So I'm kind of wanting to grow my business a little bit there. And you can find that on Instagram at Styled AF by Emma Powell. And the Styled AF is obviously AF is the name of our farm, which is Avery Farms. And you can also find that on Facebook and Instagram. And anytime anybody's ever in the area, we'd love for y'all to come out and see the cows or play with chickens or fish. We got a 10-acre lake. Y'all can always come fish. My mother-in-law will cook for you.
Thank you, Emma, for joining us this week. And to celebrate all things Southern in this episode, I've been drinking a good Southern beer, Peachin Revival. It's a kettle sour from a good American local brewery, Fertile Ground Beer Company in Jackson, Mississippi. I've said it once, I've said it many times. I'm all about these sweet sours. Basically, the sweet sours. I almost like these sours. I put them in the freezer for maybe 20 minutes before I open them. I almost like a frosty sour. It's almost not yet a slushy because that's too silly. I don't want a slushy. I don't want a crunch on my beer, but I do want it super, super cold. And on a hot summer day like we're in the middle of right now, and especially in the South, like Mississippi and Texas, you need it. And you know what? Unlike Coach Jim, I won't leave you for another podcast. I intend to stay here. You don't get a job as the host of Last Call Baseball for the intention to go to somewhere else. You can follow the podcast social media, rate and review the podcast, and even pick up a podcast t-shirt. We'll have all that in the episode's details. Thanks for listening to Last Call Baseball. Be great and get home safe.